Greetings from the Windy City, the home of the great Chicago church. They send their love and their prayers. We're so very grateful to you guys for the welcome that we received and all the support and the love.
Yes, we've just been pleasantly encouraged just to be here and learn about this great city. And it is a great city, and it is a big city. And so I feel like God prepared us with Chicago, even though Chicago is not New York, but it was a good stepping stone for us. So I'm super grateful. It is so great to be here. Greetings from Chicago. Thank you so much for sending Mike and Brittany. We love Mike and Brittany, and they have totally wrapped their arms around the church there, and the church is wrapping their arms around them. There should be 3 baptisms there today, so that's exciting. And super grateful for Mike and Brittany. Jay and I feel incredibly confident that they are just going to take the church to another level. So Amen. We're super encouraged. We're super grateful to be with the Brooms. We got to spend a little over a day with them. Like Chris said, we went to the different campuses. The campuses were beautiful. Not only just it's fall, so the trees are beautiful, but the hearts of people, and we're super encouraged to be there. Super grateful for the Chins. They have wrapped their arms around us and taken care of us. Super grateful. And we know many of you, actually some of you actually come from Chicago, so that makes it nice. But Jay and I so look forward to getting to know all of you. But we have been looking for apartments and places, and we have redefined what huge and large look like coming from Chicago. So we're learning. Pray for us that God puts us in the exact place where He wants us to be. We had a devotional on Friday night where we pulled in most of the people that were from Queens and Long Island.
Come on.
And it was super exciting. We got out our map of Queens, and we had people put their addresses on there, and we were getting the battle plan together to really win the Queens area. And we kept driving in today, and I said, "Are we in Manhattan?" "No, we're not in Manhattan." "We're driving. Are we in Manhattan?" "No, we're not in Manhattan." I thought, wow, Queens is big. So we with God have a lot of work and our work cut out for us. But I was super encouraged. I got to come over the Queensboro Bridge, It's funny because we've watched King of Queens for a while. And not knowing that someday I would actually be living in Queens. And when we found out we were moving to Queens, I turned to Jay and I said, "You can be the King of Queens now." So we are super fired up. The hearts of the people in Queens and Long Island, we're so encouraged. We love that group already. We have vision, we have plans, and it's only just begun. So thank you. Oh, I forgot one thing. And we have 16, besides Jay and I and Craig, we have 16 more people who are ready to come. They are still working hard in Chicago, but they are ready to come here. They will come whenever the gates are opened for them to come. Some are transferring, but most are finding new jobs. We have campus single, young marrieds, old marrieds, and coming. And we're super excited. So thank you.
Wow. So New York has a reputation of being fired up. Is that true? Oh. It's been so awesome to be in the Chicago church. Of course, we planted it. We're so grateful for the Brooms and their love, and the parlors being there and bringing their kids to love our kids. Chicago, it's been amazing. We've been there 9 years, and at our zenith, we were 206 disciples, and we have been sending out disciples all over the world. Like Barb said, there's a few of you here, so it's great to see all you guys. I think in the last 9 years we've sent out 104 disciples, including these that were coming here. In the last 3.5 years we've sent out 64 since we started. So it's been an amazing run. And of course, Mike and Brittany there. I love Mike. We kind of goof off too much together, but absolutely have loved it. Queens, man, it's a great area. Yeah. It's almost like it's a hidden thing, you know, and we're going to be starting a Latin ministry there. Very excited about that. We're going to hit the campus hard. So hopefully you're ready for Queens to come, because it's coming. It has been a crazy few weeks. It's been a tearing of heart, really, to leave and say goodbye. And we're not even gone yet, you know. But up and down, you know, we lost to the Mets. We let you have it, barely. No. But, you know, we've been doing our homework. Like Barb said, we've been watching King of Queens, so we know all about Queens from that. I've also been told I can't tell stories about Tracy and Candace, about their childhood. It might slip from time to time. A few weeks ago, we've started a devotional on Friday nights for the group coming to Queens. And we're actually going to set up a Skype time with the group here, so that'll be kind of cool. But I did a lesson that I thought is very apropos for you also. It's called Preparing for Battle. So please open your Bibles to Judges chapter 6, verse 1. And we're going to talk about Gideon. And it goes Joshua, Judges. Did I help you out there? Now, throughout history, there's been a lot of battles. And, of course, New York has seen many. There's been warfare all the way from Revolutionary War days. But there's a battle going on right now. And we're going to make the history, starting here today in Queens. Amen? Judges chapter 6, verse 1. It says, "Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. And for 7 years, he gave them into the hands of the Midianites, because the power of Midian was so oppressive. The Israelites prepared shelters for themselves in mountain clefts, caves, and strongholds. Whenever the Israelites planted their crops, the Midianites, the Amalekites, and other eastern peoples invaded the country. They camped on the land and ruined the crops all the way to Gaza and did not spare a living thing for Israel, neither sheep nor cattle nor donkeys. They came up with their livestock and their tents like swarms of locusts. It was impossible to count the men and the camels. They invaded the land to ravage it. Midian so impoverished the Israelites that they cried out to the Lord for help. When the Israelites cried to the Lord because of Midian, he sent them a prophet who said, 'This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought you up out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. I snatched you from the power of Egypt and from the hand of all your oppressors. I drove them from before you and gave you their land. I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not worship the gods of the Amorites in whose land you live. But you have not listened to me.' The angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak in Ophrah that belonged to Joash, the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, 'The Lord is with you, mighty warrior.' 'But Lord,' Gideon replied, 'if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are all the wonders that our fathers told us about when they said, did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and put us in the hand of Midian.' The Lord turned to him and said, 'Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of the Midian's hand. Am I not sending you?' But Lord, Gideon asked, 'How can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family.' The Lord answered, 'I will be with you, and you will strike down the Midianites together. Let's just stop there. As we look at the history of what happens to the Israelites, Joshua comes in, warfare, right? He attacks and they take the land. But what happens is Joshua passes away and they begin to give themselves over to the sin of the neighboring countries and begin to worship other foreign gods. And God has to hammer on them a little bit. And then they cry out to the Lord. He gives them a prophet. He dies. And the same thing happens again. And it can be the same way with us today. We become disciples, we cry out to the Lord, we're fired up, but then we begin to try to pull the world back into our relationship with God. And then God has to hammer on us a little bit until we cry out to the Lord. And it shouldn't be that way. But here it says they quickly abandoned God and followed other gods. And that's what happens. People fall away. And you look at this whole thing and it's challenging because it is the story for us today. So how do we prepare for battle? Point number one, define who the enemy is. Who is the enemy? In this passage, it's not the Midianites. They're just the fruit of the problem. The real battle was they started worshiping foreign gods. They did not listen to God, and so this is just the fruit of not listening to God. If they obeyed from the beginning, this would not have happened. God would have surely been with them. And so it's the same for most of us. There's a battle before us. Are you weary of the battle? At the end of the day, are you weary? Do you feel it? You know, there's a battle from the moment you wake up. You're getting out of bed, it's a battle. You got your alarm on your iPhone on increments of every 10 minutes. You got to drag yourself out of bed. Then you got to fix your face. And that can be a battle because you're not awake. If you're a parent, you're getting your kids off to school. They're dragging their feet. It's a battle. Then you got to get to work. Now, there's a battle. I've seen it. So with Tracy, Dad, don't get too close to the door here. Door opens, the train, everybody comes screaming out, you're kind of moved by everybody else. It's a battle just to get in that thing. People cutting you off. Then you're trying to drive to work. That person cut me off. I can't believe it. And they're on their phone. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. Zipping by you. Taxis. What's with the taxis here? Do they have their own rules? I don't understand this. Help me. Then you got the slow driver. They're going 45 and you do the mug face thing. What do you call that? I just want to see what kind of person that is. Then you get the accident. How dare they get into an accident? They know I got to be on time. It's a battle. Then your car dies. You get a flat tire. Run out of gas. And you're fair game for the battle. Then you get to work and you got to battle your coworkers. All right, you know what I'm saying? You get the blame game. Who did that? I don't know. I thought they had it last. I don't know. It's over there. And you try to look innocent and everybody. You battle your coworker. You battle your boss. You don't want to go there. You battle clients. And you wore out after a day. Maybe the battle is with your spouse. Not that that would happen in the kingdom. You get hysterical and historical in the battle. Yeah. But let's not go there. How about you younger people? Battle with your siblings. How about you older people? Battle with your siblings. You know, growing up, I had three brothers, and we fought all the time. I mean, it was fights. And I remember one time I was younger, I took an Etch-a-Sketch and I threw it at my brother. Chipped his tooth, chipped that tooth. Then he took a 45, not a gun, but a 45 record, okay? Threw it at my face, hit me right here, shattered. Then my dad got the bright idea that, let's give him bow and arrows for Christmas. What do you need that rubber thing on the end for, you know? No! Yeah! Then he gave us BB guns. Now I have a twin brother. Yeah, I'm better looking than he is. But everybody will compare you. Oh, he's better. Oh, he's better at that than you are, you know. And so you fight with each other. And the school makes you sit together because your last name's the same. And your lockers are together. And sometimes they make you share the locker. And then people get this bright idea that they're going to buy you the same clothes because wouldn't that be cute? That's my shirt. No, it's my shirt. Fight all the time. We're in a battle. So you get home from work and it's time to relax, right? Put my feet up, grab the mail, and there's a bill there. It's a medical bill. I don't know. I don't have to. What? You call up, and what happens? Automated, right? You find 30 minutes later, you get someone. Oh, that's not my department. I'll go. No, don't hang up. Don't hang up. And and then we have our personal battles. Maybe it's finances and greed. Maybe it's some sin that you're not willing to deal with. And Satan's drawing the line, and he said, no further, you're not going to overcome this thing. Genesis 4, God's talking to Cain, and he says, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must master it. That's right. And that's a battle. All of us have it. Wow. Fear, anxiety, guilt, anger. And it wears you out because you haven't confessed it. Wow, come on. And see, the real battle isn't your coworker. The problem was you didn't have your quiet time and you didn't listen to God. Just like these guys. And rather than being a light, you become part of the problem because you're going after other gods. Could have had peace and surrendered to God, but you chose not to fight that battle. And God says, listen, I brought you out of slavery. I rescued you. I gave you hope. And now you're going after these other gods? Let them save you. I snatched you from the power of Satan. But you gave in because you weren't willing to suffer to overcome. And Gideon starts to say, God, where are you? Hey, where's this God we heard about? And God says, I'm not the problem here, pal.
Come on, Jay.
I rescued you. Yeah. You don't listen to me. And that's a huge problem. We don't listen to the Bible. We don't listen to people trying to disciple us. Come on. Come on, Jay. Because we think we have a better idea. And it'll just go away. Then you got the battle of special contribution. Huh? And see, sometimes in our hearts, that's where the real battle is in. Because we're greedy. Come on, Jay. And you think about all that people gave to save you. And we struggle. Versus just being grateful that God had rescued us and given us hope. Love of money. We got to own our sin. You know, there's a guy that I studied the Bible with 2 weeks ago, and he was a former member of the ICOC. And he had fallen away from the church. He got baptized, I think, in 92, fell away in 94, married a gal, and basically he's crying out for help. Amen? But when I met him, I first started talking. I said, okay, let's go over here, sit down, study. And from the moment that I walked over there, all he could talk about is how his wife had wronged him. She cheated on me. And he told me how he just wept over it. And I said to him, you know, I have not heard one thing about what you've done to God here. And about you wanting to know God. You're all focused on the wrong battle. And I said, I want you to remember how you feel right now, because that's how you made God feel when you left him. And you committed adultery with him. People are impoverished. What does that mean? I looked it up in the dictionary. It means bankrupt, barren, depleted, destitute, drained, bleak. Oh, that's really encouraging right there. They're hiding in caves and mountain clefts. They're constantly being attacked. And see, what happens in the world is that's what people do. They retreat and hide in their homes because they don't want any more pain. And it's their fault. They left God. And see, we got to realize that New York, Chicago, the world, people are in pain. And what they're doing is they're hiding. You know what's amazing to me, and this is what I've been told by many of you, is that in spite of the fact that there's so many people here, and there's a lot of people here, that everybody's lonely. How can that be? Wow. As they go and hide in their caves. Point number 2, what do we got to do? We got to focus on the real battle. You know, we can focus on our own sin and our dealing with our worldly desires, or we can focus on the pain of others. Because then our situations don't seem so bad. Come on. Satan wants to distract you. You've got it so bad. No, you don't. No, you don't. Try go living in some of these other countries around the world. The real battle is the salvation of souls. Come on, Jay. They're impoverished. Yep. Mother Teresa once said, loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty. That's our world. Yep. And there's so much pain around us, it's obvious. You know, a few weeks ago in Chicago, we had a record of shootings. One weekend we had 15 shootings. And one was a little baby girl. As she was in her car seat, a bullet went right through her forehead. There's a lot of pain going on. And we can be so oblivious to it. I remember when Barb and I first moved to Chicago, we're from northern Wisconsin. I mean, you drive 20 minutes before you see another person. You see more deer than you see people. And we're listening to the news, we're like, oh my, I can't believe it. Oh my stars, look at this. And it was shocking to us. Now, I'm telling you the truth here when I tell you this. In the news in northern Wisconsin one time, I was watching TV, all right, there was an alert. And the problem was that a cow had died in the middle of a road, and there's going to be backups. Yes. You can't just move a cow. We got to figure this thing out. How do you do this? There's a battle. Oh, I was like... Now, the challenge for me now is not to harden my heart to the pain of others. You hear it so much. And we can't harden our hearts. We got to feel what God feels. Now, here's the thing. You are the answer to their prayers. Right now, someone is praying because they're so embarrassed of something that happened last night. They feel so guilty that they keep falling into the same problem. And they're crying out for help because they're destitute. And you are that answer. And God says to Gideon, you're the answer, mighty warrior. That's point number 3. You got to believe the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. Now, he's threshing in a wine press. That's about the size of a bathtub. Why is he doing it there? You're supposed to do it out in the open field because he's scared. He's hiding. And this is your mighty warrior. Now imagine Gideon, he's doing this, the angel shows up, he's kind of freaked a little bit. He says, hey, mighty warrior. And he's like, talking to me? And he says, hey, my clan's the weakest, and I'm the weakest of the weak. You got the scum, I'm below the scum. And you can feel that way too. I don't feel so mighty. I feel guilty. I feel like a failure. I feel like a loser. I've blown it. I'm so embarrassed. I feel so beat up. And I'm discouraged. And you start to convince yourself that's who you are. And God says, no, you're not. You're a mighty warrior. You're a disciple. You're a mighty warrior. Why? Think about all the people you share your faith with and they say no. All the people you study the Bible with and they say no. All the people who get baptized fall away. But you're here now. Come on. You're a mighty warrior. What was that song Carl did? Power. All right, I'm going to do a rap. No. Yeah. Anyways, I'll hold back. That's for next time. But I remember years ago when the ICOC fell apart and we were trying to figure it out. And basically what happened is the church that we were part of decided that they're going to just change the doctrine and do all sorts of crazy things. And Barb and I pulled out with our daughters and her parents. So it was us and 2 70-year-old people. And we started making it happen, but I felt so beat up. I felt so hurt. And I remember Kip had us come out to Portland, and he set us up with all these meetings with the leaders. It was awesome. I never ate so much in all my life. But the thing they kept saying to us is, you're our hero. And I thought, they're just, that's what they're told to tell us, But they said, no, you're our hero. We're here together. We made it here. But you're all alone, and you did it. I said, I don't feel that. I feel discouraged. I feel destitute. And see, Satan wants to mess with your emotions. Truth is, you're a mighty warrior, according to God. You got to see yourself as God does. And it's a lesson I learned. And one of the reasons I believe we are able to raise up so many people to send out is to see people not where they are now, but where they're going to be at in 3 years from now. And how many of you will be leaders? I remember the church in Chicago, the ICOC, was 3,600 people. Hey, you're the foundation. Come on. You guys are going to be leading large groups. Come on. Unless, of course, you don't want to do it. Come on. You don't want to fight that battle. Listen, a year from now, people are going to be like, wow, how do you know so much? And they'll look at you as a mighty warrior. Yep. Point number 4. Go in the strength you have. Just give God what you got. If he can use a large fish with Jonah, a donkey, a worm, he can use us. He says, just give me what you got. And the worse off you are, the better the miracle. Yes! Yes! There's hope. Now, maybe you're on the other extreme, and you're prideful, and you're like, I know. I know. You don't have to tell me. Mighty warrior. Well, then we got another talk. And that's another sermon.
Oh, another one. Okay, say that.
Satan wants to stop you. Now, he's got a battle plan for you, too.
Yeah, he does.
He's drawing the line in the sand and he's trying to steal your dreams, what you can be in the kingdom. I remember years ago, when we first started in Chicago, I called a guy by the name of Bob McMurray, who will be coming in April. And he was baptized in 91, but we had lost contact. And I remember when I got to Chicago, I thought, man, I wonder if Bob's around. I called him up and I said, Bob, how you doing? And he said, horrible. Yep. And in past time, what he'd done is taken on 4 special needs kids. And his wife said, I don't want to do this anymore. And she left him. And of course, the church was falling apart, so nobody was there to help him. Yep. And I just felt so much pain for him. I said, Bob, come on over, let's talk. So he came over and he just gushed. Yep. And I said, hey, the Bouilliers live a block away, and they're having a baptism at their house. You want to go see it? He said, wow. Haven't seen a baptism in so long. Wow. So he goes over there, and a guy by the name of Henry is getting baptized. Come on, Henry. And all I could do is cry. How much did it take for me to call Bob? Go in the strength you have.
Come on, Jay. Come on.
Just to open your mouth.
Come on, Jay.
Just hand him a card. And God says, let me do the work. I've been working on their hearts forever. Point number 5, we've just got to trust God. Chapter 6, verse 33. I'm glad it's daylight savings time. I get an extra hour up here. This is awesome. Come on. Chapter 6, verse 33. Now all the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern peoples joined forces and crossed over the Jordan and camped in the valley of Jezreel. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, summoning the Abiezrites to follow him. He sent messengers throughout Manasseh, calling them to arms, and also to Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali. So they too went up to meet them. So what's going on here? Hey, the surrounding nations are saying, we're going to go to war with these guys. And we find out later it's just under 200,000 people. And so power of the Lord comes on Gideon. Doesn't that sound awesome? That's a warrior. That's a great quiet time. Okay, guys? You need to go in the strength you have, but with the power of God. Chapter 7, verse 1. Early in the morning, Gideon and all his men camped at the spring of Harod. The camp of Midian was north of them in the valley near the hill of Moreh. The Lord said to Gideon, you have too many men for me to deliver Midian into their hands, in order that Israel may not boast against me that her own strength has saved her. Announce now to the people, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead. So 22,000 men left, while 10,000 remained. You need to trust God. So imagine the picture. Gideon has 32,000. Now that's by faith already. We're going to go after, 180,000 people. And God says, you got too many people. What? What are you doing? He says, tell the people who are scared, go home. Well, all right, we're all scared. All right, quaking with fear. Okay, quaking with fear. So can you imagine you got 22,000 men leave, and you're watching this? And the rest of the people are now quaking with fear. But God says, you got too much. It's when you're weak is when I shine. Verse 4, But the Lord said to Gideon, there are still too many men. Take them down to water, and I will sift them for you there. I will say, this one shall go with you, he shall go. But if I say this one shall not go with you, he shall not go. So Gideon took the men down to the water, and there the Lord told him, separate those who lap the water with their tongues like a dog from those who kneel down to drink. 300 men lapped with their hands to their mouths. All the rest got down on their knees to drink. The Lord said to Gideon, with 300 men that lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the other go. And so they kept the 300. All right, so what's with this? I mean, the lapping and all that kind of stuff. Well, let's back up. Why did he say those who are afraid, go home? Because fear is contagious. And if there's one thing that bothers me, it ticks me off, is when people instill fear into other people.
Come on, Jay.
We can't do it. Yes, you surely can.
Come on.
And their faithlessness destroys the faith of others.
Yeah. Come on, Jay.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to be the reason why people fail. And I'll have talks about, what are you doing? What are you thinking? And it's sin. It's not sin to be afraid. I mean, we're all afraid. You go sharing your faith. All of us go through it. I'll let that one go. Oh, the next one. Next one. Okay. Didn't look good. And we push past. It's being a coward that's wrong. Revelation says all cowards go to hell. Why? Because you're focused on how you look versus their salvation. That's wrong. And he says, go home. All right, so now we got, a number of other people here, and we got the lapping like a dog. What's that all about? How many people here have done that? Yeah, 300. Huh. You don't see too many people doing that, do you? I think it feels weird. But I think one thing, God was making it obvious. Yeah, that's a lap. That's one of them. But I also believe that the rest of them would just kneel down and drink. They weren't watching what was going on around them. And it's concern for one another and concern watching what Satan's going to do to us.
Wow.
We got to fight that battle.
Wow.
So now they're down to 300 men. 300.
Come on, bro.
Chapter 7, verse 16.
Come on, bro.
Point number, what is this? Thank you. Follow the leader. Verse 16, dividing the 300 men into 3 companies, he placed trumpets and empty jars in the hands of all of them, with torches inside. Okay, so the torches were inside the jars. Watch me, he told them. Follow my lead. When I get to the edge of the camp, do exactly as I do. When I and all who are with me blow our trumpets, then from all around the camp blow yours and shout for the Lord and for Gideon. Gideon and the 100 men with him reached the edge of the camp at the beginning of the middle watch, just after they had changed the guard. They blew their trumpets, broke their jars that were in their hands. The 3 companies blew the trumpets, smashed the jars, grasping the torches in their left hands and holding in their right hands the trumpets they were to blow. They shouted, a sword for the Lord and Gideon. While each man held his position around the camp, all the Midianites ran, crying out as they fled. When the 300 trumpets sounded, the Lord caused the men throughout the camp to turn on each other with their swords. So they started killing each other. They didn't even have to fight. It's like, wow. But they obeyed God. And they obeyed Gideon. And you look what Gideon says, watch me. Follow my lead. Do exactly as I do. Now what that tells me, if you're a leader, you got to lead. Your lifestyle needs to be one of leading.
Come on now.
You can't just send people out and expect them to do the battle.
Come on, Jay.
And because they were willing to imitate, they had victory. You know, in Chicago, it's always interesting when you have transition. All right? Now, most of those people don't know Mike and Brittany. Mike and Brittany were there 3.5 years ago. There's a whole new crowd of people. And I had to say, hey, you need to give them your hearts and imitate them. Watch what they do. You guys have great leaders here. This is awesome. This is exciting.
That's right.
You got the brooms, man alive.
Amen.
You got the parlors. You got the chins. You got some amazing leaderships. It's like, to me, it's like raw meat. You know what that means? You throw raw meat in front of a dog, he goes crazy. That's what I'm looking at this. I'm like, this is a great group of people. Can't wait to get here. Come on. Raw meat. But you got to follow the leader.
That's right. That's right.
And they're easy to imitate. They know what they're doing. They will lead in sacrifice. You got a special contribution up, just imitate them. They're not calling you to do something they're not doing.
That's right. Come on, Jay. That's right.
I know these people. They gave up a lot just to plant the church because they knew that they were your prayers, the answer to your prayers. You got to give them your heart and follow. Then you got the broken jars. That's point number 6, I think. 7. What's with that? The broken jars. And basically, that's how our hearts can get.
Come on now.
We can get hardened. And either God will break you or you break yourself. You want to break yourself and have a humble heart, and you don't want God to have to do it. I mean, look at what they went through.
That's right.
But it's then that your light can shine. See how I pulled that together? Brought the light in.
Amazing.
Amazing. And the light shines brighter in the darkness. And you have a dark world out there. People are in all sorts of sin, and you're the light. You'll get them to see their sin. You'll get them to see the hope. You'll get them to see Jesus, and that really is the key. But what bothers me is when our hearts are hard and people refuse to change in the kingdom.
Yep.
Man, I'll go after that. There's a target. Why? Because they're going to just die eventually.
Yep.
You need to be moldable clay. You need to be teachable and trainable so you can fight that battle with joy.
Yep.
I don't like it when people say, I just don't do that. Do what? Do what? Love God?
Come on, Jay.
Love the lost? What do you mean? You don't do that? I don't like to hear it. I encourage you not to say that to me. We're very encouraged here to come here to learn. We got to be moldable. Teachable. I've never been to New York. I don't know anything about it. Last few days, we've been just, following people. Show me where. I'm lost. We got to be teachable and trainable. Finally, you got to finish the job. If you read on, you find out that they go and they continue to go until they find the last 2 kings and kill them. Why? Because you don't kill the root, it's just going to come back. You got to kill the root of the sin.
Come on.
You got to realize you're in a battle. A week or so ago, there was a rescue mission that happened. Americans grabbed some Kurdish fighters and they went to rescue 30 people from ISIS. Do you think ISIS is going to quit? No. They're not going to quit. Do you think Satan's going to quit? No. You got to finish the battle. They went in there and they rescued not 30 but 70 people. And they found out the reason they were so urgent is they found out that they were going to have their prayers and then behead all these people. And they rescued them. Now, how do you think they felt when they were rescued? That's what's out there. You can bring a lot of gratitude and glory to God. I'll have to admit, one of my biggest challenges is to keep fighting the battle. The older you get, the more weary you can get. Things hurt that you didn't know were there. And there's a huge temptation to let the younger bucks do it. Come on, you guys. Yeah, you there, you're there. You can't fight that way. You got to lead in the battle. So when does it end? When you die. And I figured out I got about 10 more years and I can retire. Is there retirement in the kingdom? Hey, Kip. Yeah, I'm retiring. From what? Doesn't happen that way. I'm going to close with a challenge. I want you to commit to these 8 things this week. Number 1, define who the enemy is. Otherwise, you're swinging at something you don't know. Number 2, focus on the real battle. Focus on the real battle. Number 3, believe the Lord is with you, you mighty warrior. Number 4, go in the strength you have. Trust God. Become broken before God, moldable before men, and finish the job. Amen.
Let's really thank Jay for that lesson. Amen.